Hi guys, this is another Led Zeppelin fan theory episode. We'll explore the real chance Houses of the Holy had of becoming a double album in an almost carbon copy played to physical graffiti. I will also discuss the alternate track listings that could have been for Houses of the Holy as a single vinyl release, considering the outtakes. So let's rewind the tape back to May 1972 at Mick Jagger's Stargrove's mansion, where the Rolling Stones' mobile was parked to capture lightning in a bottle and airplane sounds.
We're rolling on. Trying to get this airplane on.
Not even.
By then, Led Zeppelin had already recorded 7 tracks back in London, December 1971 through April 1972. That's 30 minutes of music, album title track included, waiting to be mixed with 5 more songs to go. Stargrove's was the place to capture The Song Remains the Same, The Rain Song, Walter's Walk, Black Country Woman, and The Rover. The band's confidence was at an all-time high, and the pressure from the 4th album didn't seem to hamper their creative forces from flowing, never mind play their music with such an astute approach for arrangements. A shiny metallic sound with glowing colors can be felt on every track. Robert Plant was beginning to feel the coldness of his vocal winner, which affected his high range and presented a challenge for their now famous sound. Page, Jones, and Bonham responded in full instrumental brotherhood, which effectively contained Plant's situation towards new grounds of band expression. A musical concern was turned into a group opportunity. I recommend you check my 3-part documentary series on Houses of the Holy for further explanation on tape effects and other techniques that were used on the record. Led Zeppelin could put whatever they wanted on their 5th album, as they had enough street credit and millionaire sales figures to choose a collection of songs that truly captured the 1972 spirit going into 1973. The soundcheck archives of them trying out Houses of the Holy material speak of the appreciation they had for their new musical creations. Past the Trouble album cover photo shoot, producer Jimmy Page worked out the final mixes, and the band tried to decide on the track listing while touring the UK and Europe, January through March 1973. Final art printing issues of not getting the colors right delayed the release date for Houses of the Holy. The album could have been ready for December 1972, but it was pushed back many times until March 28th, 1973. Now, it was a good year for double album success, from Elton John to the Beatles to the soundtrack for American Graffiti. Led Zeppelin was finally celebrated in the press as the biggest band in the world, beating longtime rivals, the Rolling Stones, thanks to Zeppelin's unquestionable talent, record ticket sales, and them finally hiring an advertising agency and publicist to deal with the media. Now, there was a strong technical and legal reason for Houses of the Holy being a single vinyl release in 1973. Led Zeppelin were Atlantic Records' golden children at the time, yet their 5-album recording contract with the label expired in October that same year. This means if a double album would have been released, it meant a revision of terms and conditions to determine the money side of things. It was almost impossible for Houses not to be in the top 10 best-selling albums of 1973, yet it never found its audience. What I mean is that it lives in the shadow of Untitled and Graffiti to this day. The fans love it, but it's always compared to the other 2 albums. So let's speculate on Atlantic Records offering a special deal and Led Zeppelin deciding to end their Atlantic years with a bang. A double album that sums up their love for music, the countries they visited, the fans, and the groupies. Lots of groupies. The machinery got busy and pressing plans hurried up so fans could enjoy Led Zeppelin's own Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. The timing for a double album was perfect. Page let his bandmates know the total running time for all 12 tracks on Houses was 59 minutes. The idea for a double album arises, and Jimmy reminded everyone they had previous outtakes that could work alongside the new material. Nobody complained, and it made sense because no quarter was first developed on the sessions for the fourth album, so it was like full circle, in a way. So they pulled the unreleased stuff from the third album and Untitled. Poor Tom, Run At R, Night Flight, Boogie with Stu, and Down by the Seaside. They didn't use Hey Hey What Can I Do because it was already the B-side for Immigrant Song back in 1970. After a painstaking process of sequencing in the studio, Led Zeppelin compiled 77 minutes of music across 4 sides of vinyl. Noticeable up front is you don't really feel Robert's vocal change that much. The sound remains the same. Side A has a perfect trilogy of moments in what I call the Houses of the Holy Suite around D major and G major chord variants. The song remains the same, the Rain Song and Over the Hills and Far Away, with closing track Dancing Days, adding to the celebration feel within the album. The fact these last 2 songs were actually released as singles in 1973 proves the point. Side B opens up with exquisite Page sinister guitar riffs, Plant's timeless storytelling, Bonzo's intricate drumming tales, and John Paul Jones's special glue to carry the news that must get through. The Rover continues the mid-tempo flair and races No Quarter's bet into stadium rock. Run At R is like an overnight stop while on tour just before you jump on a plane for Night Flight. Side C takes us back to the summer of 1973 with the album's theme song. Despite the dangerous responsibility of carrying the record's title, it was a reflection of stardom and the trails within a booming rock and roll business. I always found it interesting Houses of the Holy ended up on both the remasters and latter day compilations. It seems the band really liked this number. The theme song vibe makes Jamaica fit the happy narrative where you don't really mind a reggae number on a band that could do it all. Robert is the protagonist here, and Down by the Seaside puts a different spin on good times, contemplation, and intention. Walter's Walk brings back the band into their signature hard rock style, and well, they played it in the middle of Dazed and Confused 1972. It was a true representation of their onstage identity. Side D starts off with Poor Tom's organic sounding bass drum, going into another artisanal tune that works as a complementary piece, Black Country Woman, where Bonzo's vigor is absolute. The crunch takes the band into tight funk, and the tongue-in-cheek lyrics make Boogie with Stu the perfect after-party at a secret location. The ocean finishes the job while maintaining the rhythm element that makes Side D end with one hell of a groove and swing. So how does a Houses of the Holy double album affect the Zeppelin timeline? Well, it gets interesting. Physical Graffiti is released as a single album, with a different track listing making Side B the obvious choice for the long pieces, creating a memorable experience for excited fans around the world. Led Zeppelin had to cut one track though, because of time constraints, and decided for the wonton song. Promo single Trample Underfoot takes Side B in the ways of Sick Again. With both songs played on the 1975 tour, it added to the monumental success of their album, considered a classic record from day one. Presence used the wonton song outtake on the final selection, making its way on Side B right after Hot Sun for Nowhere, but just before T41 for a superb transition into Shade. Lots of shade. Coda has almost the exact same running order, except Poor Tom and Walter's Walk are replaced by Baby Coming Home and Candy Store Rock, a Presence outtake. But wait, Let's go back to Houses of the Holy. What if they went for a single vinyl release anyway, with some or all the 1972 outtakes? I know many Zeppelin fans who don't like the grunge, Jamaica, nor the grunge, nor Jamaica. So this is a fun but hard exercise, as we gotta take into account the running time on vinyl, so it's realistic without sacrificing sound quality too much. It was also very hard to leave out The Song Remains the Same as opener, or split the Rain song right after. I personally think these are the two best opening songs from their catalog, because they were written as a suite. The Song Remains the Same used to be an instrumental overture in its early stages, leading into the Rain song. Now, I'm not going to share all my track listing proposals, as I would like to know your takes on it, but let me tell you, when you try to come up with alternate track listings, you really understand how challenging it must have been for the band to leave stuff out, and this may explain what influenced them to make Graffiti what it was. So I'll stick to a couple of scenarios. Scenario 1. I'm using the basic album structure with 6 songs and the Rover on side B. There's absolutely no filler tracks here. Total running time 39 minutes. Their shortest LP, yes, but just imagine this set list on stage. Scenario number 2. I know it's impossible not to use The Song Remains the Same as opener, but it's all good fun. Side A, Houses of the Holy, the theme song, followed by The Rover and Black Country Woman in full Physical Graffiti style. Closing number, The Song Remains the Same, prepares you for what's next while you sing the Hare Hare. Side B opens up with The Ocean, taking you back into a rock and roll party, where Over the Hills and Far Away waits inside with open arms. No Quarter goes for sinister dimensions, and then you find a way home with the Rain song. And just before you go, I'll give you my 2 cents on why the 1972 outtakes were discarded from the final selection. Houses of the Holy, well, a great 70s anthem, and I really like this song. It does sound like the Rolling Stones in places, especially the laid-back vibes that sort of take you into Sticky Fingers and Goat Head Soup terrains. The Rover has one of the best guitar riffs ever, but No Quarter and The Ocean just did this better. It didn't help the Rover's descending chord sequence of F sharp, E, and D live in the same style of Stairway to Heaven's 3-chord guitar solo section. The band loved the Rover so much, they used a portion of the cascading bridge into the main riff for Physical Graffiti's Sick Again. Black Country Woman was an acoustic number that just couldn't compete with Over the Hills and Far Away and the Rain song. It just had outtake written all over. And then there's Walter's Walk, which I think came down to the drum beat being similar to The Song Remains the Same. Never mind that we're both recorded at Stargroves. So from a producer standpoint, Jimmy Page made a logical choice here. Despite the hatred they get, the grunge and Jamaica did break new sonic grounds in the band's catalog, so I can understand why they made the cut. Dancing Days had an Eastern influence on the verse melody, and it's a powerful song on stage. I just don't like the mix. The high frequencies are harsh. You can find this track on my least favorite Led Zeppelin songs video. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and please share your track listing ideas for both a double album and alternate single vinyl release for Houses of the Holy. I'm curious to know what you think. It's always a pleasure to work on Led Zeppelin what if scenarios. So stay safe, listen to great music, and by that I mean do not listen to Meatloaf's Bat Out of Hell. Thank you very much for watching, bye bye.